Take a listen to the Iranian response to these Indian crews trying to pass.
In Persian Gulf and Oman Sea. This is Iranian Sepah Navy calling you on channel 16. The Strait of Hormuz is still closed. We will open it by the order of our leader Imam Khamenei, not by the tweets of some idiot.
Satellite imagery since that all took place has shown that traffic in the Strait of Hormuz has basically come to a halt. Now the UAE has told the U.S. that if they run out of dollars, they'll be forced to trade oil in Chinese yuan. We covered on our last stream, of course, Iran's closure of the Strait of Hormuz. We discussed the fact that Iran had launched these warning shots at 2 Indian crude tankers that were trying to illegally pass the Strait of Hormuz because they read on Trump's Truth Social post that the Strait of Hormuz was open. So they said, okay, let's go. We're ready. Trump says it's open, right? And then they started calling in Sepah Navy. Why are you firing at us? Okay, we're turning around. Okay, we all remember that, right? Well, if you can believe it, we now also have the IRGC Navy response to these Indian crews that were trying to pass after they claimed that, like, well, you know, we saw it on Trump's Truth Social. It has to be true. Of course we can pass the Strait of Hormuz. We have a response from the Iranian Navy, who is in dialogue with these Indian crews. And you can't make this stuff up. This is 1,000 times better than any movie, any TV show that's been produced in the last 10 years. Take a listen to the Iranian response to these Indian crews trying to pass.
In Persian Gulf and Oman Sea. This is Iranian Sepah Navy calling you on channel 16. The Strait of Hormuz is still closed. We will open it by the order of our leader Imam Khamenei, not by the tweets of some idiot. If you want to pass through the strait, you must ask permission from Iranian Sepah Navy. All vessels that have a connection with some idiot. If you want to pass through the strait, you must ask permission from Iranian Sepah Navy. All vessels that have a connection with our enemies will be targeted if they try to pass the Strait of Hormuz out.
And to make matters even better, more glorious, far more hilarious, Donald J. Trump posts Truth Social. Some post that apparently, like, some account that apparently posts all this, like, Donald Trump news stuff. Donald Trump sycophant, right? Probably run by a White House insider. They say, just in, IRGC Navy called Iran's own foreign minister an idiot over open maritime radio. Because on the radio call, Iran's Sepah Navy said, we only opened the Strait of Hormuz under the direct order of our leader, Khamenei. We will not open the Strait of Hormuz because some idiot puts a post on social media, some idiot's tweets, right? And somehow the random guy manning the IRGC Navy radio is more proficient in the English language than the Donald Trump fan account on Twitter, because this fan account said IRGC Navy called Iran's own foreign minister an idiot over open maritime radio. And then they got community noted. They got a fact check. It said, no, the idiot reference in the audio is a reference to Donald Trump. The tweets mentioned are his social media posts about opening the Strait of Hormuz. Where is this account based? Europe. I thought maybe we were going to see like Southeast Asia, and it would be one of those accounts run from India. But this is apparently an account run from somewhere in Europe. We can't know for certain. They're maybe using a VPN. Who knows? But anyways, so that was amazing. Satellite imagery since that all took place has shown that traffic in the Strait of Hormuz has basically come to a halt. Yesterday, Sunday the 19th, only 3 ships passed the Strait of Hormuz. I believe it was 1 or 2 Iranian ships and 1 or 2 Chinese ships. So it was, only Chinese and Iranian ships that passed the Strait of Hormuz yesterday. French vessel tried to cross the Strait of Hormuz. Iran fired warning shots at it and it turned around. So there's a now total shutdown of the Strait of Hormuz. Trump finally got wind of this and he decided that he would escalate the situation. Because, of course, the Iranians said, hey, Trump, look, we're not even going to come to these Islamabad, Pakistan negotiations unless the U.S. Navy leaves the Gulf of Oman. The U.S. Navy needs to stop the blockade on our ships, and we will then come to Islamabad. And we'll also open up the Strait of Hormuz. You can't expect us to open up the Strait of Hormuz if you're not going to open up the Gulf of Oman into international waters. And Trump's logic here is, well, they're charging tolls. They're charging tolls, so we're going to block them at the Gulf of Oman. Up until yesterday, the Trump administration had not yet actually seized a single Iranian ship. They had forced 26 ships to return back to Iranian ports or refuse to allow them to actually enter into the Strait of Hormuz to access ports in the Persian Gulf. But yesterday, that all changed. The U.S. Navy bombed a civilian cargo ship, a container ship that was traveling, I believe it was originating from China and headed to the Strait of Hormuz to go to Iran. And they decided to bomb it and they seized it. They seized the vessel. An American military official did just announce, though, that the crew of the detained Iranian ship will soon return to Iran. Now, think about that for a second. The U.S. is so terrified of Iran that it took the entirety of the ceasefire almost up until the second to last day to seize a single ship. Now, Trump claimed that they bombed the engine room of this civilian cargo ship. And the Iranians responded by launching gunboat and drone attacks at U.S. Navy personnel who were stationed in the region. Unclear what happened in the midst of that retaliatory attack. But the U.S. waited all this time. That's how terrified they are of the Iranians. They did not want to be the first to escalate, but now we are there. The Iranians had previously said that they are planning a fierce response to the attack on and seizure of the Iranian Tuska container ship. But now, possibly with the crew of the detained Iranian ship now heading back to Iran, maybe that's off. It's unclear. It's unclear why the United States has sent these Iranian crewmen back to Iran. Maybe there are some backroom dealings going on. I have no idea. Obviously, the men on the ship did nothing wrong. They're just like civilians on a container ship. But you know how the U.S. operates. They'll take any opportunity possible to try and, hold something over Iran's head, or anyone's head for that matter, that refuses to bend the knee to the U.S. empire. So I mentioned this. Iran's Khatam al-Anbiya central headquarters announced it will respond to the U.S. attack on Iranian commercial vessel. Nothing really on that yet, besides, of course, the drone and gunboat attack, which did take place already. And this is causing the UAE to freak out quite a bit. The UAE held an emergency meeting yesterday with American representatives about the off chance that the war resumes, and they are incapable of having a steady flow of U.S. dollars in their country, like cold hard cash. And now the UAE has told the U.S. that if they run out of dollars, they'll be forced to trade oil in Chinese yuan. Trump is achieving the unthinkable. Comrade Trump. he's literally ushering us in to the world of petro yuan in less than 50 days. Incredible. It's very amazing, Literally, I'm not even kidding. On Chinese social media, and the first Chinese social media, by the way, much larger than American social media. In China, first of all, live streaming in China became a thing where like you had like millionaire, multi-hundred millionaire live streamers. You had that before you had that in America. Second of all, in China, during the first Trump administration, because of Trump's disastrous trade wars with China, on Chinese social media, they called Trump Comrade Trump or Red Trump because of how much his plans and his trade wars backfired and actually helped the Chinese economy and actually forced the Chinese economy to become more sovereign and independent. That's what they referred to him as. It was a meme on Chinese social media. But anyways, Comrade Trump ushering us into the world of petro yuan. Who would have thought? Before you leave, I want to say thank you for the support, because after 2 years of being banned, we are finally back home on YouTube. So be sure to subscribe to our channel and also join as a member on our channel using the link at the top of the description. I rely on the generous support of viewers like yourself to get the truth out to as many people as possible. You can also support the show on Locals or Give Sin Go. The mainstream media and the powers that be are never going to stop attacking us for bringing the truth to as many people as we do. Thank you so much for your support.